Welcome, YouTubers and my fellow Navy dudes. My first ship was the USS Ramsey DEG-2. These are some of the stories in or around about that time in WESTPAC of 1972. It all started out late November 71, where I was just finishing up air-conditioned refrigeration school in San Diego, and as a young third-class engineman, there I was in the picture. I got orders to the USS Ramsey DEG-2, which was home ported out of Long Beach Naval Station. So it was 10 days away from coming back from its WESTPAC, and we were assigned temporary duty at the Long Beach Naval Station. I was petty officer in charge of the Mercy diesel generator room, which consisted of two 750 kW Fairbanks Morse 5 1/4 diesel engines, the JP5 pump room, the helicopter in-flight refueling system, also known as HIFER, two small boats, and I was the ship's fuel tester. Some of you already know what this is, but this was my original sewing kit from June of '69. And one thing I want to go ahead and show you that I keep special, the shoulder patch for the USS Ramsey DEG-2. In January 1972, when the ship got back to its normal routine, we normally got on away for 1 week out of the month, and in April 1972, we had a port visit to San Francisco. We docked at Treasure Island, which was fortunate enough for us because we didn't have to run our diesel generators, and then went into the normal 6-section duty. So off we went to Fisherman's Wharf to enjoy the sights and sounds of Fisherman's Wharf. My friend Doug met this nice girl. Her name was Nina. Sorry, no pictures. And she wanted to get a double date, so she called her friend, Kristan. Well, Kristan was off that day and couldn't make it out till 7 p.m. So we met her, and off we went to enjoy ourselves. Well, like I said, I don't have any pictures of Nina, but I do have some of Kristan. She was 5'10", tall, leggy, blonde, and I mean blonde. Anyway, since the girls were only... all right, settle down. And so, since they were only 19, we couldn't go to any bars, but we did manage to go play pool. Yes, pool. At the end of the evening, Kristan drove us back to the Treasure Island in our little yellow Volkswagen. And what was so funny, she drove right through the Treasure Island entry gate, and the guards never stopped us. But I said, "You can't do that." And she made a U-turn and parked outside the sentry gate. That was so funny. And we said our goodbyes there for now. What a woman she was. Baby! Ramsey returned to Long Beach and resumed her training schedule. The girls came down and stayed at Doug's mom house in San Juan Capistrano. I went up the following month to see them. Around June 1972, the ship was scheduled for a 2-month repair at Todd Shipyard in Long Beach. We were shown pictures of the USS Higbee DD-806. In April 1972, Higbee became the first U.S. warship to be bombed during the Vietnam War. We had to sign last will and testament papers and update our insurance. 2 North Vietnamese Air Force MiG-17s attacked, and one dropped a 500-pound bomb on Higbee rear 5-inch gun mount, destroying it. The 5-inch gun crew had been outside their turret due to misfire within the mount, wounding 4 U.S. sailors. I put a link to another video on YouTube. It's below. Higbee aft gun mount was removed and plated over 55 days later. My brother, who was a fire control missile tech, was on board the USS Sterett when they shot down a MiG in April '72. After the short yard period, we were underway for refresher training off SoCal, and one day we were to launch the motor whaleboat and bring her back on board. It was a beautiful summer day, like glass. It was very, very calm. So the boat was lowered, me, the boat engineer, taking care of the after line, the coxswain, seaman taking care of the forward line. The coxswain motored the boat around and brought her back to the ship. I hooked the stern line of the boat up. The seaman hooked his up. We were halfway up and the front of the craft fell into the water along with the seamen. Now, of course, the cox and myself were hanging onto the man lines. Nothing below us. What a feeling. All in a microsecond. They lowered the rear of the boat into the water. Ship's diver dove in to get the seaman, and this guy was yelling, "Don't save me, don't save me, I'm gone, I'm dead." And I thought to myself, what? I hooked up the front of the craft. They hoisted us aboard. The boat was okay. The tall, lanky seaman was okay. He failed to properly set the lanyard around the Raymond release hook. You know, it could have been worse. 3 U.S. Navy destroyers leaving on WESTPAC on Saturday, August 19th, 1972. 2 from Long Beach Naval Station, USS Ramsey, USS Braunstein, FF-1037, and 1 from San Diego Navstay, USS Ouellette, DLG-29. We pulled into Pearl Harbor, Tin Can Alley. Doug and I decided to rent a car similar to this 1968 Plymouth Valiant. One stop we went to was Sandy Beach on the other side of the Diamond Head. We drove around to the North Shore to see Waimea Bay and also to see Waimea Bay waterfalls. Yes, we slid down it. Went off to Haleiwa, Wailua, and then drove right through the center of the island seeing Waihawa. Sorry, no pics, just a map. We wanted to return the car before it got dark and stop off at the PO Club on base to have some of their nice Hawaiian drinks. I forgot to mention, as we were entering the inlet of Pearl Harbor, a double rainbow appeared and all 3 ships went underneath it. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. The ship was to pick up a gunnery towing target like this one. All 3 ships left Pearl Harbor and headed to Guam. Along the way, the captains played leapfrog drills, anything to keep the training up. One morning, we towed the gunnery towing target behind us, and the Braunstein was going to fire at it. Well, that's not what happened. We were at quarters on the fantail, and the flak from the Braunstein was exploding right above us, and I would say about 1,000 feet above us. Well, of course we ran. We ran like sheep right into the helo hangar. Thanks, Sergeant Barnes. I guess that was the training for the day. There were plenty of highline transfers. They liked transferring 1-liter sample bottles filled with JP5 hyper fuel so the ship's fuel tester could test. I have never been to Guam before and was really surprised on how the water was so clear and even into the harbor, unlike many other U.S. naval ports. All 3 ships refueled, got underway for Subic Bay Naval Station. I recently read online the Ouellette went to the Midway Island. I don't remember that. Anyway, we got to Subic Bay Naval Station on Monday, 11 September 1972. At 1600, Liberty call, Liberty call. Liberty commences for duty sections 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to expire on board 0700 Tuesday, 12 September 1972. Now Liberty call. So off we went to see the sights. 2 women at the U&I Club. They had an above-ground swimming pool. Interesting. Remember that? One of the things I kept as a souvenir, no, it's not what you think, but it's this shirt. Take a look. Double mojo, single mojo. And I never looked on the inside of the shirt. So it's a flour sack. After turning inside out, had this thing for 50 years. Good grief. How about that? These are a couple pictures of Rose. I love being with her. 5'7" and all woman. Anyway, after spending some time in this working port, it was time to get underway on Saturday, 16 September 1972 to join the festivities in the Gulf of Tonkin. All 3 ships had many duties and one was search and rescue. U.S. Navy pilot ejected out of his jet. We heard the jet circling and hit the water. It was heavily overcast and foggy like SoCal on a morning June day. Very gloomy. So I think it was the Ouellette that lowered their motor whaleboat, could be wrong about that, and pick up the downed pilot. Ramsey got the parachute and ejection seat. So now we were part of the Tonkin Gulf Yacht Club. The ship spent the next month at sea in the Gulf of Tonkin for search and rescue. We were playing guard for the USS Midway CVA-41. God has blessed those pilots. There was never a major instance when they took off or landed while we were there. You know, a great movie I like watching is The Flight of the Intruder. It was made in 1991. It depicts around September 1972. Takeoff and landing on a deck at 0 dark 30. It was so dark out there you couldn't see your hand in front of you. One good thing following an aircraft carrier, you got mail every other day. These are a couple pictures of the Sikorsky H-3 Sea King helicopter. They brought us our mail, our HT fur party. One man in particular is HTFN Sweet. You'll hear more about him later in our movie here in the second half. So it's time to go back to Subic Bay Navstay for upkeep, repairs, and a little liberty. I hate to report this, but the next story was part of the war in Vietnam. We saw the USS Newport News in port at 1 a.m. on 1 October 1972 while in action off the demilitarized zone. Newport News sustained an inbore explosion in her center 8-inch gun of number 2 turret. A defective auxiliary detonating fuse caused the projectile to detonate almost immediately upon firing. A total of 20 sailors were killed and another 36 serious injuries from toxic gas inhalation. It cost too much to replace the gun and was eventually plated over. USS Newport News had a tremendous role during the Vietnam War. About 20 years ago in the net, there was deck logs and so many factual events. I can't find it no more, but the ship was a warhorse. Well, this concludes part 1. Click on the link for even more WESTPAC 72 aboard the USS Ramsey, DEG-2. Thanks for watching, YouTubers.